New moon ritual is something that was one of the first moon rituals that I did in a group. I think it was last year. One of my friends was hosting some people at her house. A little bit of effort, but I like the idea of the new moon. What you're supposed to do during the new moon a little bit more because it's about starting over and setting intentions and I think I've been trying to get more in sync with the moon in my life and recognizing those moments so that it helps me to put a little bit more time.
Yeah,
Totally.
I'm not like, I have never been a really big student of like the moons and astrology, Mercury coming out of retrograde. I mean, I definitely have, um, I would say some like unconventional kind of views, fairly spiritual, but I kind of feel my way through, and I tend to like make meaning out of like coincidences, synchronistic things. I'm like, this shit is meant to be. So everything that I hear you guys talk about, I'm kind of like filtering through my own experience, which I got to tell you guys right now, it's just like crazy. And I'm curious if there's anybody, in kind of like, who might be watching this or might watch this video later who could, affirm or kind of, I don't know what's the opposite of isn't exactly what I'm going for, but I have been experiencing kind of the closure and coming together of so many things in my life that have been like loose ends and heavyweight, just like over a period of years. Things are kind of coming to completion, and like I'm actually, I'm moving. My business may be buying a property, which is separate from my, residential move. I'm moving in with my partner. I was in a car crash last year, and like the lawsuit unexpectedly, settled. I feel like it's like, I could name more things, but I probably don't want to like get so detailed on this, like kind of like live public platform of like airing out all my dirty laundry. But like I like Marissa, when you said that it's kind of like coming out of Mercury in retrograde is kind of like it's putting the pedal to the metal. Like
Yeah.
I've been like I feel like what I another concept that I like to think of, kind of like in terms of is flow. Everything coming into just like unobstructed kind of movement forward. And that's something that, there's all sorts of different ways to understand flow. And I'm really excited to, dig into that a little bit more in kind of like future talks, because I think it's a really powerful concept, but it's part of what I hear us talking about and what I feel like I'm like directly experiencing, right? Like there's so many things that have been back from living my kind of like fullest, best life, and like with me like both efforting and making no effort at all, so many things are being resolved that have been preventing me from. It's really interesting also during this time of like the election and COVID and like the world falling apart. And, I know that we've talked a lot about, and are inspired by this whole idea of like, society and metamorphosis, and seeing like a metamorphic process really kind of resonating on multiple levels. And that has kind of these stages of like rapid growth, then going into, chrysalis, out of kind of like the caterpillar into, a phase in which, the body totally disintegrates and then gets rebuilt up into that butterfly. And I like, I'm like, I'm melting, you guys. I'm like, but I'm also, I'm becoming the butterfly, and And I want to know, are other people experiencing that also? Is that a way that you guys would characterize some of what's happening? I mean, it's kind of what I hear us talking about with like Mercury coming out of retrograde, that I feel like I'm like starting to like really, really go.
Yeah. What about you, Ashley? How is that showing up for you at all?
Oh, it looks like maybe you put
Oh,
your mic off again, Ashley.
All right, I turned my mic off because I was doing some technical stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, I feel like once Mercury went in retrograde, I had actually just gotten back from farming for the summer, and so that was kind of for me a point where I was automatically already in a very self-reflective stage. So that was really good because I wasn't trying to really reach out. I wasn't trying to make a lot of decisions. I was trying to actually, you know, focus on myself more and really try to take that time to figure out what I want to do next. And I definitely don't have it all figured out already, but I think that like the little thing, like I'm headed in the right direction. Like today, I started a new moleskin planner, and I take a lot of notes, and I've had the old planner that I've had for the last like 5 years. So this is a huge transition, even if it's just a book, but like everything that's in this book is from the past 5 years of my life. And I started to get this really positive sense of energy like across my whole body when I just like kind of like, this book is like a reflection of me turning a new page and, going into a transition in my life and, not knowing what exactly is going to happen next, but getting that sense of energy that was helping me feel like I was headed in the right direction was really awesome. And I think just taking the time to even notice those feelings is something that is new for me because I don't usually take the time to feel that. I might feel that energy, but what I'm on right now is making me feel this way. Means that I should, continue or, something like that. So I think for me, that's been the most fun part about the past few months or so has been getting more familiar with those feelings that I have inside that are trying to tell me what to do or tell me what to do, but encourage me in a good way.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
just
that would be an
providing some
example of something
guidance.
that happened to me today. Yeah.
Love it. Real good. Is there anybody in
Yeah, we got someone. We have a fan on some fans on YouTube, but they're not very interactive, so that's fine.
Yeah. It's probably me.
That's what I was when I was. Yeah, it's all right.
No, it's wonderful. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think,
yeah.
I was just going to
I
mention
was just
that.
gonna.
Oh, Marissa, you got something?
Well, if there any shifts are happening.
John. So, like, literally, John Cooney is hanging out with us right now. Love you, John.
Nice.
What's up, John?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
And I'll just go
What
ahead
does
and
John
read.
say?
Yeah, I'll just read his
Yeah.
comment. He said, I find a cycle of pulsing in and out of heaviness and lightness in the butterfly metaphor, like the cocoon is being pulled away and I'm letting it go and feeling a new me and stronger and lighter than ever, then briefly feeling like I'm going backwards. Overall, though, feel like I'm shedding nervous system and brain patterns that no longer serve me. I feel like we are being welcomed or put through a process of letting go of our own selves. Um, yeah, like, uh, yeah, I mean,
I would definitely agree with that, and I feel like that's something that I experienced last week. Was I was embracing new old behaviors that don't serve me. Don't They don't really serve my. I'll just have a bad behavior and or a behavior that no longer serves me in the way that the direction I'm headed in, and it's like, but I'm okay. I have to accept the fact that that's part of the process. And I guess that's kind of what I'm agreeing with John about, like having these patterns where sometimes it might feel like you're moving forward and you never make a mistake or you never do anything that you're like, why did I do that? Or, something that makes you feel bad after the fact and you're like, oh man, I feel bad now, or something like that. I
Yeah.
should have known, shaming, blaming, all those kind of like negative energies.
Right. And I think, to me,
Well,
it's a reminder to like stay in the mind frame of like what we're here to do is to grow and to become, like just these like so-called like better versions of ourselves. And like, so, but that means like that's not like a cakewalk. Some of the difficult things about yourself and like making decisions that is like taking a higher road, that is a climb up into this, the version of yourself that you're aspiring to be.
yeah, and I would also say, it is, we can feel a sense of going forward and then going backward. And just to add another element to this conversation is that Mercury in retrograde is just one aspect of what's happening astrologically. And there's a whole lot of, you know, different influences that we experience from the where the planet all kind of feeling like we're in a pinball machine getting knocked around a bit. But yeah, it's I use most often are both starting new checkbooks on the same day, and then I had something happen with, it could be very much attributed to the different ads that I run, but regardless, I wasn't sure about a charge, and so I flagged it, and the bank ended up just canceling that credit card. So this, and I just got a new one today, but this credit card I've been using since, I think it's my first credit card that I ever got. So I find that really fascinating to just get a new credit card number. Um, and kind of, it's almost like a refresh. Uh, and in addition to all those things, I'll be moving, um, bought a house, and so that's going to be a big shift in, this next week, and you know and uh, just feel like things are really uh, kind of pushing forward and outward more. So definitely feel like things are un getting un uh, kind of unlocked in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
has it's kind of ungrounding. You know, how are you kind of coping? I think that's like, I'm not sure if everybody has had a chance to go over and check out com1comal.com, where we have compiled a bunch of resources, and we kind of have come together to kind of support one another and other people to kind of create space and, just learn about things you can do yourself to become more grounded. In addition to that, we regularly hold circles on Thursday nights at this same time, 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. That's a little more interactive for people to kind of, topically, like actively reflect and talk and process through some things. So I'm just curious, Marissa, like, and Ashley, you can answer this question too. What are some of your, go-to kind of like practices that are grounding or help you kind of like cope during during significant transition times?
I think
I think,
something, yeah, I think something that I
oh,
like to
go for
do
it.
is to document or kind of record the moment in my life or and how I'm feeling because it's kind of like flipping it instead of being afraid of that trend, you know, this is a moment right now that's I'm never going to be in this position in this exact moment ever again. Like this is a moment, and you'd be like, man, you know, that was so crazy. Remember that time when I was, you know, I did this and then I did that and then I wasn't sure where I was going to be next. So it's kind of like almost honoring that moment by documenting it and just kind of like trying to cherish it for a little bit and remember it. And I so that's something that I find is helpful for me.
Do you just do
I
that in
think
your
for
journal?
me, making sure I'm getting outside every day. One simple way to be able to get grounded because I very much feel like we are naturally part of this earth and that to just spend time out in the elements is on a real instinctual and primal level really grounding.
Yeah, it's kind
So
of a,
that's
like a
just one simple
homecoming.
thing I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like the Pisces in me, but like taking a bath, I find to be really grounding. That's something that like is just there, and these are things that kind of like can really cause like a mood shift and a change. Going outside, exercising, moving my body, going for a run is definitely one of them. But especially, I'm in Connecticut. It like we have winter here. Not every place in the country does. So particularly as it gets colder, and I am kind of in a lot of transition, like taking a super hot bath and laying down for a little bit is it really does the trick for me.
Yeah. Well, I'd be, that we are also at this time of the new moon. If you both have any intentions that you want to set for for the coming month.
Yeah, it's good. It's a great question.
Uh, someone else go first.
I want to just really be open to magic. I feel like this is a uh, it feels like there's greater spiritual access right now, and so really holding space for magic to show up is the frequency I want to be tuned to.
Yeah, I think I'd like to start getting up a little bit earlier than I have been, and like um, and developing like a little bit more of being a little more intentional about my morning routine. Ever since I've like been with my partner Nikki, I just enjoy like that kind of like time in bed together in the morning. Um, but it comes at the cost of also like getting up and having kind of like the quiet solitude of and like of the day, and that little piece of the morning. And I know that when I do that, it really sets tone for my whole day. So I would say that's my intention.
All right, yeah. To reflect on my intentions from the full moon, um, and a lot of that was process, and to continue to follow my intuition in the sense of personal and professionally. I think that sometimes it's easy to get during this period of change to get nervous or anxious about the uncertainty or the unknowing of how your decisions are impacting your life, and whether or not, like, I was just listening to a YouTube video earlier today about how this is a moment where we're literally at the point where we could take different paths, right? So it's like that anxiety of like, oh, I wish I could know what's going to happen if I take that path versus that path, and then thinking about all the other times in my life where I made a decision, to take a certain path, take a certain timeline, and it has resulted in where I am today. So it's like, where do I really want to go next? It's so, I think in general, just trusting my intuition and trusting the process, something that's my intention for this new moon.
Cool. Love it. Well,
Nice.
it has been really nice hanging out with you guys. It's 8:30, and Marissa and I got to jump to our nephew Grayson's birthday Zoom to sing him happy birthday. So, want to remind everybody that we do circle up on Thursdays. So please join us this week to interact a little bit and dig deeper into this topic of closing up and transitions with the new moon and coming out of Mercury in retrograde. So uh, thank you guys for hanging out.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with me.
You're welcome. Yeah, good
Yeah. This
times.
was fun.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna
Yeah.
kick it
Have a
out.
good evening, all.
Totally.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.